Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Today we are speaking with Nada Mesqui, and Nada is the guardian of the Raindrop Movement. I love that. She's a somatic healer through embodiment and free conscious movement. I'm really excited to have you on today, Nada, and to learn more about what it is you're doing and how you're doing it. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jill. I'm very excited to spend the next 20-30 minutes with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me. So what is somatic healing?
So it comes from a Greek word soma, which actually means body in its wholeness. Mm-hmm. The ancient Greeks knew very well that we are so much more than our mind. And so when they used the word body, they created a word that actually meant body, mind, heart, and soul. And so somatic work is basically a way of using body as a conduit to aligning our mind, body, heart, and soul. And it's done through different ways and different practices. And there are so many modalities out there these days, but because the body is the container of all of the other parts, we use body as the main conduit for healing.
Very interesting. And you do it through movement? Your modality is through movement?
Exactly. So Raindrop Movement uses somatic wisdom, somatic practices, combined with free conscious movement. And it's simply because in my practice and in my, being a devoted student of many different integrative therapies and conscious movement modalities, I found that free movement is truly the fastest way of connecting the dots, of releasing any trapped emotions, of, healing even major T trauma. Because there's a sort of abandonment of the intellect when we engage in this kind of activity that just happens naturally, almost effortlessly. And so
like dance?
It can look like dancing. It can look like ecstatic dancing or even tribal primal dancing. And yet, because it is guided through somatic practices and through real tools, it's different, and it will look differently for each and every one of us. It's truly about tapping into what feels right and true for each of us in any given moment, with what we are moving, with what we are exploring, and giving it expression, giving it shape, giving it space in our bodies.
Interesting. So do you do this online or in person? Both?
Both. Yes, I have a really lovely community online that's growing in the last 3 years, because I started offering online in 2020 when all of the world was online. And now, since last year, we're going back into live in-person events, and I've been doing live classes I have several studios where I teach, and also retreats and workshops and anything that can serve the community.
Very cool. So do you hold the workshops all over the world or just in certain areas? Where are
So
you located, based out
I'm
of?
located currently in Amsterdam. It's quite still fresh. And of course, when I'm collaborating with other facilitators, it can be anywhere in the world. I
Mhm.
am here, so most of my live classes are also in Amsterdam.
That must be beautiful. I just,
This time of year, it is truly. It is. It's idyllic with all the bikes and all the flowers. In a month from now, ask me again. It might be a
okay.
different story.
Yeah, those seasons, they just keep changing.
Yes.
So how did you get started doing this? And how did you come up with Raindrop Movement as your mm, the thing that
Name.
you're embodying?
Yeah, that's beautiful question. Thank you. So I made a big transition in my career about 10 years ago. I was climbing the corporate ladder as I thought I should and doing well, yet being completely unfulfilled and exhausted. And when I reached my first burnout, I say first because I had two. I like to do things really well.
Right, I'm gonna make sure that that was what it
Yes,
was.
make sure that I got the lesson. So when I reached my first burnout, I took that as a real sign of invitation to do things differently in my life. And that's where I started doing therapy, doing somatic therapy, doing coaching. And it actually brought me very close to what I felt my calling is, my true calling is. And that's where my education started. In the beginning, I was working as a women empowering leadership coach, and it felt really satisfying and on some level still quite in the head,
Mhm.
still quite intellectual. And there was just something missing. And as a former dancer, I was just so curious with how I can use that with coaching and how that combination could look. And so I started looking around, and this was probably like 7 years ago, and there was quite a nice community of conscious movement teachers out there, and yet none of them really combined the coaching aspect or the mindset aspect into the body, and that felt really important to me. And so through my own practice, through my own journey of being a devoted student of all of these beautiful modalities, Raindrop Movement sort of just came together. And the reason why I gave it the name was in one of my meditation practices, I just focused on the raindrops falling, and they all looked so different. They each had a different weight, different shape, different speed that they were moving it. And I realized that that's kind of like us. We are all so different. We all have different ways of expressing ourselves. And yet, each of us can have an impact of literally being the difference between life and death. That little raindrop that falls on just that right piece of land or on that right piece of leaf can mean the difference between nurturing it or not, right? And so it just became clear that that's the kind of movement that I want to create, where everybody feels welcome, where there's no should look, should do, there's no rules of any kind. There's just pure invitations to move with whatever feels true in your soul.
Oh, you gave me goosebumps
Mm.
on the whole raindrop metaphor. That just like it's so true. If the drop of rain falls just right on a seed and it bursts into life and it,
Mm.
it can nourish so many others just just from that one raindrop.
That's it.
And it's water is so powerful. And one single raindrop, drops hitting the same spot can wear something away and change its appearance totally.
Yes.
Just from consistency. I just like there's so many pieces of that are so beautiful. I I really love that story.
Oh, I'm happy it resonates.
It definitely does. So your online community, is it a private community? Is it um
No,
open to
it's
everybody?
open to everybody. I started holding free monthly community classes for everybody who just wants to come and experience that because it's still at the forefront of, trauma healing and somatic healing, and people kind of have an idea, but not really. So it
Right,
felt
right.
really important to offer a space where you can just come and experience it because it truly is one of those modalities that deserves to be experienced. And so every first Wednesday of every month, you're free to sign up and try it and see if that's something that speaks to your body, to your mind, and to your soul.
And you do this online, right?
Yes, online on
Okay.
Zoom.
Online on Zoom. That must be fun.
It is.
All the little squares of people just moving.
Exactly. It's very fun, and each month is very different. And it's becoming, like I said, so global. It's really fun to see how people find their thing. And that's
Mhm.
the beauty of this virtual world, We do have the blessing of being able to just follow the little traces of curiosity and finding that one thing that resonates with us in any given moment.
And we're not just confined to the people in our small communities. It's we're so connected on a global scale now. The internet has really done some amazing things for people in that venue. I mean, if you're in Amsterdam, I'm in Preston, Idaho.
Exactly.
It's kind of wild. Um,
Yeah.
so how would people join this uh, workshop with you?
It's
What,
very
what would
simple.
they
They
do?
would just go on raindropmovement.com
Mhm.
and click on monthly practice and sign up.
Okay, that that makes it easy. And what other
I
things
hope
do you
so.
do? How do you do your actual coaching with people?
Both on Zoom and in person. So it's really up to what do they prefer and what suits them. Um, I combined I combine leadership coaching with somatic and with movement. So my sessions are a little bit longer than the traditional coaching sessions, simply because there is this portion of allowing a client to really land in their body, to connect to that piece of beautiful innate wisdom in them. And I just want to say that for somebody who may never have had an experience of what that means, it can seem like, what do you mean? Connecting
Yes.
with my body. And it's very often the case because most of us who are, functional members of this society, we spend so much of our time in our heads that we are simply disconnected from the neck down. And so it can take some time and some practice to actually start returning to those senses inside of us, to those goosebumps that you mentioned earlier, to those
Mhm.
tingles. And when you do that, and when we work on that in the very beginning of the session, it just creates like a little sliding door that then becomes an open door, that then becomes a whole, open, wide atrium. And then we can go and connect that with our beautiful mind. And it's just about truly tapping into the full potential of this embodied shape that we decided to come into, right? And the the coaching part, the talk part, the conversational piece comes so much easier and goes so much deeper when we are connected with that embodied, intuitive, sensing, feeling part of us. And so I like to then transition into that from a place of already being connected to our bodies. And then if there is space or if there is a need to maybe shake something off or move something through in a very fun, different way, we do that through free intuitive movements towards the end of the session. And it's almost kind of like an energy clearing of a sort that, these are all ancient modalities that people have used centuries ago that are now coming back, and we are giving them different names because now science is actually backing them up more than ever before. And so we can truly measure how they impact our hormones, how they impact our endocrine system, and especially for women, how they impact our capacity to receive and feel pleasure in any aspect of our life. So they're becoming more trendy because, like I said, now there is science behind it and the intellect can stand behind that too. But in actuality, they've been there forever.
The idea of connecting, it's really hard to connect with others if you can't connect your whole body yourself. You can have a conversation with somebody intellectually,
Yes,
but it doesn't really take root in the same way that having a conversation, energy field to energy field, it's
absolutely.
different. And if you can teach people how to do that, to connect with themselves so that they can connect with others in a more fully experiential way, I think that's just so beautiful. And
Mm,
it makes people, it allows people to feel heard and felt, but
yeah.
felt in the way that our vibrations kind of commingle,
Yes.
and it creates a different kind of experience. It's kind of like the raindrop in the sea, when the
Yeah.
raindrop hits that seed and it just like
Ripples out.
ripples
Yeah.
out. Yeah,
That's beautiful. You're giving me another metaphor to work with. I love that.
yeah. I love all that you're doing. It's really fascinating. And it just, I should ask you this important question. Who would know if they're your people or not? So,
If
like, do you
any
just work with?
of, yeah, if anything of what you've just heard kind of just awakens something in you, even if it's just curiosity or even if it's skepticism, if you feel that little spark of, what is she talking about? You're my people. It's that simple. I truly believe that we all feel that resonance towards people, things, places. And if we just follow that, we're going to end up where we need to be.
Mhm.
So if this conversation sparked something in you and you feel like you want to explore it, just come to free practice and see it for yourself.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So, do you help like business people? I know you were doing leadership coaching
Yeah.
before. Are you kind of like combining that? Are you just like full on open to anybody that wants to explore healing?
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. So I do want to make one precision. I focus on working with women.
Okay.
And I work with individuals and I work with organizations. The offerings that I have are slightly different. So when working with individuals, it's either one-on-one coaching or classes or retreats
Mhm.
um, in form of women's circles. And when I work on organizations, I offer a program called Flow, Fueling Life Force of Women, where I combine the scientific neuroscience approach and the somatic healing with it. So it's really teaching women how to manage their energy based on their cyclical nature, based on their biology, because we
Right.
are different. And so the workplace also is a beautiful place where we can acknowledge that and where we can co-create from those differences rather than burning generation after generation of women in ecosystems that are just completely ignoring the fact that we are women.
Yeah, and
So
our cycles are like 28 days versus 12 hours.
yes, exactly,
Hello.
exactly.
And
Yes.
as more of us are in the workforce. And it's relatively a new thing for women to be in the workforce in the capacities that they are entering the workforce. And, traditionally, men have dominated all of these things. So the systems have been set up to accommodate their cycles.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And women are just like, no, we're not. That's not how we operate.
And what has happened as a result of decades and generations of women trying to fit into a box created by men for men is that we're all burned out. We're all burned out because we're trying to do it in a way that simply is not in alignment with who we are here to be. And it's nobody's fault. It just took us a while to recognize that. So now there's more and more women and more conscious organizations who are really willing to put that on their agenda as a diversity and inclusion objective, or just simply to be a workplace where women can thrive. And so that's where I can help.
Yeah, and that's so beautiful. And women have so much to offer in the economy of the world. And I like to call it the you economy, because it's about individuals contributing from their unique gifts, because we're all unique and we all have something to contribute that makes everything else richer around us. And when you have an organization that recognizes that, they can only prosper if they just like let the women. I have another saying, it's another coined word I use, it's coopetition, where
I love that.
where the men have always been competing against each other, so one has to be on top. Women tend to work like, we want to be the best we can be for ourselves, but we want you to be the best you can be too. And together, the whole raindrops thing, we are so powerful together, each of us being really great at what we do, but recognizing the greatness in each other.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
and celebrating that greatness.
Oh my God. Now you gave me goosebumps.
That's my message to the world.
That is so beautifully said, Jill. And it's absolutely true, and one thing that I've recognized specifically in the last 3 years, as my work has really niched down, I've seen that because of this feminine wounding of not being enough or not fitting into the man's world, patriarchy world, is collective. The healing of that wound can only happen in collective.
Yes.
So we need those women's circles. We need those women's groups to come together to look at each other and see we're all in the same boat. We're in it together. You're not alone. You're not alone suffering through exhaustion, suffering through burnout, suffering through fertility issues, and everything else that's becoming a norm and a baseline in a modern woman's life. So when we create those spaces, there's an opening, there is an expansion that happens for each and every those women. So beautiful, so special, so sacred, and it happens almost naturally on its own, just because we came together and we shared our reality. And I really, really want every woman, whether it's through Raindrop or through any other community, to find her tribe. Find your women and sit down with them and make that your monthly ritual. And I promise you, so much will come out of it.
Yeah, you won't feel alone, but you'll also feel empowered. You'll be respected for who you are. You're a unique little raindrop, but you're part of the bigger picture, and that you are rain. You're not out there by yourself getting dried out by the sun, because
we never are.
That's so important to have community and to recognize that you don't have to just fit into the community that's convenient for you.
Yeah.
Be choosy. You know,
Yes.
there there are people that are your people and there are people that are not your people. It's
Yes.
okay to say, no, you're not my people. I'll be polite to you, but you, we're designed, I think, to intermingle with a certain group. We're it's like if you have a big puzzle and all the pieces are there, one piece doesn't fit like everywhere in the puzzle. It fits in one spot. It may be blue sky. It needs to
Mm-hmm.
be with the other blue sky pieces. Doesn't make it any less important, and it doesn't mean that, the tree pieces are better than the sky pieces. It just means they're different and they're serving a different purpose, and they need to be in community with others that are here to do the same thing that they're doing
Yeah.
versus trying to be the tree piece even though you're blue. So you're going
Yeah.
to always feel like you're odd. It's like,
Exactly.
and not
Exactly.
enough. and
Yes.
and you're not. You are totally enough for what you're supposed to be doing.
Absolutely. Yes. You are always enough. You're born enough. And that's a message that we cannot hear enough in our world today.
Yeah.
Um, and so I do want to invite every woman that's listening to this podcast to join our Reclaiming the Feminine Summit, because it is truly created with that purpose to allow for women from all walks of life, all journeys or backgrounds to come together and to see what it feels like to sit in a community of women who are devoted to feeling better. Just that, like, I want to feel better. So I've created this summit, and it's happening the 23rd and the 24th of September for this autumn equinox, so that I can offer all these different healing modalities that have been pivotal in my own healing from double burnout. And I've somehow gathered together 10 amazing embodiment teachers, leadership coaches, thought leaders, energy healers, sound healers to just spend 2 days giving away their gifts so that you can experience it completely for free. And again, find, am I more blue or am I more green? you know, what fits me in this stage of my life and where I might want to go a little bit deeper in my healing journey.
Will the summit be repeated?
I don't know. That's the honest answer. I
Well,
organized it because I felt a pull to do it, and I felt a real longing to bring these amazing women who have been a part of my life for so long together. And so we're doing it in a few weeks. It's completely for free. All the speakers are participating for free, which feels like the most generous, amazing, abundant thing that has ever happened to me. And I don't know if there is to be a next one. I guess we'll just
will it
discover
be
it.
recorded? I guess is my main
Okay.
question. Can people watch it again? Because this podcast won't air until November.
Yes.
So
So, um, so I would say it will be recorded, but it will be sent by request. So maybe if you're not able to get get it before, then it will be for some other time. But I trust that there might be another time.
perfect. And if they go to your website, I'm sure they could request it from you.
Yes, of course. Of
So
course.
there you go. You can
There we
participate
go.
even in November. Give it as a
Absolutely.
Christmas present to yourself.
Yes.
So, Nadia, this has been amazing. Is there one thing you would like to leave the audience with?
I would love everybody to know that you don't have to be in pain. You don't have to suffer alone. That's not why we're here. Truly and honestly, we are here to thrive. We are here to feel incredibly radiant and alive in our human bodies. And body knows how to get you there. It does. All you have to do is just listen.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you so much for joining us today, Nada. This has been amazing.
Thank you, Jill. It has been absolutely lovely. You've given me several goosebumps along the way, and that's always a sign of an amazing conversation.
For sure.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the You World Order or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.